Perfect. So thanks so much for coming over. I think the idea for today is we're going to present you a little bit about, like, from educational side of things, what AI visibility is, how do we define it, and what we already know, as we did quite a lot of research, especially for Central Eastern European market. Then we're going to show you a little bit around the tool we have, how we analyze this, what is the methodology, and in the end, we really want to have some time so we can ask questions. We will talk about local brands, so we're going to show you some examples. The subject is pretty sweet. You're going to disclose it in a sec. Basically, anytime you want to ask questions, please do ask questions, Polish, English, Ukrainian, Estonian. We can cover it all. So I'm Ola, I'm head of partnerships. My background is very much techy. I did work for Google, then for TikTok. Now I'm more in the startup space in London.
Thanks a lot for coming from London and for greeting everyone. So I'm Dimitri. I'm the founder of Rank4.ai. In IT since 2003, doing multiple products and service businesses. More than one and a half year ago, started this product. But actually, the topic is not new at all because it is about semantic web and what we had already 50 years ago. And my background is computer science and business. And I came here from Tallinn, where I live 6 years now. But before that, I was living in Warsaw for almost 20 years. So free to ask me also.
Have a seat because you all sit. That's a bit of respecting each other, I think. And it's a bit late, so I will not try to overwhelm you with multiple research-based stuff. We'll just try to share what we've learned and try to hear from you. Is it valuable, or you can find it valuable in the current world? So the discovery shift. So discovery means that something is unknown and we want to know it. So every model, every LLM, when something is unknown, has two ways to discover it or to hallucinate it. So discovery can happen from the memory, which is the cut memory from 2025, but also can happen from the live search mode. Hello. Okay, let's see some of the results. Right. 23 people joined. I think there are more. There is still QR code visible, so we have a bit more results. I think 3 months ago in Tallinn we made a similar poll. There were like 120 people in the room, and we confirmed that 95% of people were using chats when they search for anything. So it's a very interesting trend, how Baltics work and how Poland works. 24 people coming. Okay, last 60 seconds, and we go forward. Yeah. Google search is winning.
It is interesting though, because when you talk with startups in the UK, it's very much closed now, and like quite a lot of people, like if it would be very startup-ish crowd, most of the people would use Squad than the rest. Also for search and kind of understanding, random everyday things. That's what I've seen recently. Yeah.
So we have Google winning 75% took out of this. Wow, didn't expect it actually at all. But it's actually very good because our default model is Gemini and Google actually in the system, so that's what we assume. So you all probably remember this time, so blue links on the left side, where you were optimizing to get there on this top 3 results. Pretty nice. And who doesn't understand Polish on the left, then there is English on the right. So it's all about ice cream, and it's actually almost the same. Best vegan ice cream in Poland. And that's how we want to be in AI conversation present. And this is also something, for example, for this brand, Grytsam, when others appear, actually this is not the best thing to happen. So I was sharing that the difference actually between these two models, the old one and the new one, when you are in the long-term memory or in the index, it's quite similar to SEO, to search engine optimization, when you're in the long-term memory, 2025, One difference is that you cannot influence it today, just to do whatever you want to be in the memory. In Gemini's memory, in ChatGPT memory, in whoever's memory. And why is it important, Ola? What do you think?
Because obviously you have less influence over what was there a year ago. And if things happen, policies happen, or your products that you launch happen, obviously you have not that much influence that your brand or product will be visible in AI results.
Yeah, and you know what they're doing, this token economy, it's crazy. It's like drugs. Every month it becomes more expensive and people are getting on it, which is a different thing with SEO actually, and that's why being in a long-term memory, it's being drug-free. It's like they don't pay for search. When people ask in ChatGPT what is the best ice cream in Poland, then definitely Gemini or OpenAI or whoever would like to just come with the result without spending any token, any energy on it, because they themselves also need to fetch stuff and then tailor and create and patch actually the answer and do it all. So to become visible there, you need to understand what is behind every brand's reputation in AI engine. And first thing we do with the brands that we help, or agencies that we work with, we help to find out what is behind brand's reputation in AI, which is a bit of a different thing than typical brand reputation, because brand reputation for AI is something that is being built differently for every company, industry, language, market, audience, and even city. So if one asks in one city and then in another city the same question, you'll get a different reputation engine. So what we do with our technology, we stabilize through running it like in a laboratory environment, hundreds of prompts of queries, multiple times repeating same thing, and then doing stochastic approach, because engines are undeterministic. You have only probability. So here we have two examples of Gryzon and Algida comparing themselves. Their reputation engine consists of hundreds of citations, which AI tracks to reply on multiple topics that people have. And as you can see, for Gryzon, YouTube and Wikipedia, they are like 7%, well, two most important media. But then, you can see something on the number one, which is a brand's own domain. And this is something that is extremely important to become for AI engine, that you're not just in the long-term memory, but also wherever this short-term query is fetching happening, they will fetch your website. Because this is the narrative you can control. You can control your own website, you can control product descriptions in the ERP from which marketplaces just sell them, distribute, you can control press releases you send. This is something that you can control. And then there is a long tail. There is also existing long tail in AI, which is also a very interesting thing, but it's built absolutely differently, which I will show a bit later. It's built just from what AI thinks. So, and it's also discoverable. So, the old playbook was, again, about feeding pages or hacking engines with the keywords, with backlinks, buying them on the farms, then tracking daily or monthly or whatever rank positions, and CTRs. Why CTRs are important, Ola?
Because obviously we want, in the past, we wanted users to get into our website to learn something about the product. And currently, obviously, everyone heard that we are in no-click world, so that's kind of where we got to on the right side.
Zero-click world, zero-click reality. Obviously, it's of course a bit of over-marketing this thing, but it's obviously zero-click if person chats, then gets recommendation in chat, and then makes decision, and then goes and buys, or calls, or gets to the store. So there is no CTR, then what should you pay for, how you get optimized there. The huge world of new economy in visibility is being created. And OpenAI, of course, does it in US and UK and Australia, testing ads, doing all of this, but they are afraid of the risks coming out of AI Act in the European Union. And of course, this will be the last market, I guess, they will come to. So, getting from AI visibility, we'll first get back to the story about the ice cream. And like yesterday we flight in here, Ola, what about the weather?
I mean, it's very British.
Yeah.
To start with. No, definitely.
Polish ice cream is
The initial idea was to bring ice cream to you guys today, but when we woke up with the whole rain outside, we decided not to. So yeah, but the story stays and ice cream stays.
So yeah, so the Polish ice cream is evidently one of the best in the world, and one thing that we can learn from running a test with this ice cream test, you can just try your ChatGPT or Gemini, put this question and test yourself, and then run the new chat and put the same question 5 minutes later and test yourself. And then what marketers do when they want to prove that everything is fine, or someone who is not into details of AI visibility, they take the screenshot of the right result and say, hey, ChatGPT or Gemini replies that Crystal is the best ice cream. That's fine. We have a proof, right? And then 5 minutes later, they see another result and then don't take a screenshot of this one, right? That the best are Coral or Algida or other. So just for ones who are not from Poland or not into ice cream too much, like for me, being in Poland for 20-something years, almost 30 actually, these three brands I knew always, and even Coral I knew before coming to Poland. So it was even in 90s the brand which was somewhere like present. So how then we can spend wisely our marketing budgets without discovering all the reality of the statistics and the results behind AI visibility. First, we need to start with 3 questions, actually. So the 3 questions that you can take to your teams, to your colleagues, to marketing departments, to agencies that you work with. When did AI last describe us and to whom? This is one question you could have. And what most people say, yeah, like someone checked ChatGPT in March. They seen it from Google Search Console or from someone else. And we have a screenshot or we have result, like copy paste or whatever. Where technically they should do checks monthly, running repeatedly 15 times the same question and gathering answers and then doing statistics themselves and then building the whole reputation engine themselves. Which sources is the AI standing on? This is something that I showed in the beginning. And this is the discovery that you can also do. Yeah, so probably it takes information from our website because it's indexed. But then we have the list, we discover it with the audit, the full list of sources, even reputation it can be influenced by competitors, by listicles, by negative sentiment, and many, many, many more items. And then the question is, okay, so do we own these sources or did somebody else write our story? Because evidently if we're not in the result, then someone else wrote the story about the topic. Okay. So marketing comes the site, so maybe we should then ask, maybe they have data, whatever, where correct answer should be, yes, we own 4 out of 10, this is this resource, we called this editor, we called this owner of the marketplace, we checked the content, and we publish it and distribute it. And this is where you actually want to be. So we just say that you should stop taking screenshots and start coding in a proper way, like we do with brands running hundreds of prompts and asking multiple times the same question to stabilize the result. And there is an interesting thing which also came out of research. Everything what we do, actually we do research-based and then we submit it to Springer or to other journals for the review. So one thing that came out with the dice roller, as we call this methodology, because it's almost like gambling, you just gamble with dices and you get some kind of results. So just to get a general understanding of if you're anyway in the AI's heads, you need to do at least 5 times the same question, repeating it, just to have general understanding, really facing the first layer. The second one is, so who's actually pushing AI? And this is something that you can start to understand your competitors, other brands that appear, and making statistics also from this. 15 prompts at least to repeat the same time. 15 prompts. With the same model, with the same engine, not switching between them. So if you would like to understand how many times what is your visibility in ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, whatever, you need to run them times multiple models that you want to check. And then if you want to present something and defend it in front of the board, methodologically, statistically, it's correct to run it at least 40 times. The same question in the same prompt in the same chat, without context all the time, like in the laboratory. So this is what we also do and help brands with. So this week, we've released our third big study, this time about Polish brands. We took 46 Polish brands into the study to build the AI rank 4 index for Poland. Previously, we did it for Baltics and for Nordics. So now we have like 12 countries together with more than 300 brands, analyzed hundreds of thousands citations total to understand general rules behind AI visibility and AI marketing. So for this study, what we found out, that ChatGPT, of course, has preference towards encyclopedia or Wikipedia, as you can say. Perplexity has preference to US media like Reddit. It's a friend for them. And actually, Gemini is someone who is, as we call it, a Buffett friend. They name last brands comparing to other models. They try to maintain neutrality, which is very important for Google, and they also punish ones who do overfeeding or overseeding. So what it was all like? Can you share?
I mean, definitely what happened with, recently, from what I read and kind of researched, in the past we would have much more big publishers and news outlets, and that would be also important source. Now, because Google is obviously working to start with ads, they started to mention brands and brand perspective a bit more. So that's kind of my knowledge that I can share.
And what kind of content should we publish for Google then? There was this AI generated thing, right?
Oh yeah, of course. So I mean, everyone that uses the Search Console and checks what Google is enabling currently, they started to create policies for AI, and also pretty similar as from 2012 when proper like search optimization happened. They advised not to create content that would be specific for AI. So that's something that kind of works against our business, and that we had a conversation today. But as long, I think what matters a lot is you don't want to create forms of content. You don't want to create multiple sites that would bring attention of AI to the brand. You need to create content that is useful, and this is nothing new. Like we heard that from 2012 all the way up till now, and that's also something that our product is definitely recommending, and our idea behind the service we provide. So yeah, I think that's a big difference that happened last week, I think.
Thanks, Ola. Another interesting insight: there are national, multi-regional brands, multilingual brands, which run their business in CEE, in Europe, across oceans, etc. And very interesting thing. So when you are running your business in a smaller country than Poland, but it also happens with Polish brands, and you would like to ask something in the local language about the brand, the service, the product, and the smaller languages, like they don't have this volume of information, they start to track this information from English sources. And English is a very competitive language to win in AI, which usually influences your reputation. So when you ask the same question in English and compare it to like asking it in Polish, Estonian, Finnish, whatever, you will lose many, many points towards the competitors you even don't know that they exist on your market. And this is something that we call that you get actually the penalty for not having enough information in the local languages, which AI can learn from and which you can seed to AI, and there are ways to seed information to AI. So we need to plant seeds, then they will grow, then AI will train itself, and then there will be no reputation penalty happening. Right, so what do we have here? Top 20 resources from which AI, so ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity combined, they take information about these 46 brands in the study so that everyone now can know where to invest their money and how to build your media plan or marketing plan or whatever. So you can see that YouTube for Polish brand is number one. So whoever was creating YouTube videos with influencers or without influencers with themselves, they are actually building their strength for long-term memory. And of course, it's obvious, it's owned by Google. They do transcribe it, they do put all the tags, etc. They learn from it, it's for them for free. Then third one, marketplaces. Media expert, which is actually a shop. It's, okay, marketplace also common, like Kaufland is getting into marketplace and more. Sorry. Wikipedia, number 5. And then you have multiple other websites. And I will put the interest, like grab your interest into these red careers, because this was something very specific to Polish market. Career portals, career review, HR review portals, workplace review portals, they influence how brand is being perceived. So PR teams were chasing tier 1 media, like, okay, we want to have a publication in Elle or in Forbes or in Banker or somewhere else. But actually, if they would invest into managing reputation with these HR portals, answering the questions like what it's like to work here and manage these pages, and also talk to these media owners, this will move the needle to them. So this was like the aha moment for me. I did not expect that GoWork and others can be still so strong, even everyone has different opinion about this media, then still they move the needle for AI reputation.
Yeah, and I think it's super interesting because when you follow, especially English-speaking media and articles, and also LinkedIn, most of the sources you would hear is Reddit and it's LinkedIn recently. So I think it's super important when creating such a strategy to really have insights from the local market, because it is so much different. And I think, we like to think things are universal because most of the sources are taken from English language. But I think this research very much shows that you really need to create the strategy depending on the region and the language for AI. So that's something that I think tends to be lost, because most of the big players are also English-speaking and American brands and American software, and we are proving this otherwise, really.
Yeah, some people are standing, you can take the seats, there are some seats, so use the moment, don't be shy. And then we discovered 3 patterns of disappearing, as I call it. So one pattern is that there are ghost brands. The ghost brand, which actually exists in some trade press or in some publications, but AI doesn't know about it at all, never heard about it, and we are convinced that we're doing a great job because we're everywhere. Then the second one is misdirected brands. So AI mentions, but actually they mention the wrong buyers. So one case with Lithuanian cleaning service leader, they were categorized as construction service company. And then, okay, how does it help if people talk to ChatGPT and they get the brand mentioned, but it's mentioned as a construction service company, not as a cleaning service company. And then the third one, which are misdescribed brands, where actually AI describes you using sources that you do not manage. Okay, AI knows about you, but it knows about you from different sources. So what? So there are some fixes, very fast plumbing fixes, as I call them, that you can apply. They're a bit of technical fixes. We are also helping with these fixes, consulting whoever needs help. But recently, like 2 weeks ago, Google rewired their discovery engine for AI overviews, and they shared some nice, still surface level, but very nice suggestions what to do. We went deeper to discover those. So freshness takeaway is number one, telling constantly that your content is fresh when it was updated, etc. There are special ways to do it. Second one is that questions are actually the new keywords, very important structuring FAQ questions on every page, which is relevant to the content on this page, not just generically repeating. Third one, stop waiting to be found. You can push yourself, and not just with the sitemap XML to Google Search Console, because there is more sophisticated technology to push it in a real time to the indexing. So something that, just examples from the technical team, sitemap last mode, this is the thing that's try to tell the truth constantly to search engines and LLM engines. Second thing is about structured data. So what we do, we implement this based on the queries and based on the questions which are being asked and checked by personas. And personas are people having generally conversations in AI. And there are also ways to discover these personas and to try to modulate and simulate and use your own models for this. And then you have the third one, which is this IndexNow, that you can use IndexNow. IndexNow is an amazing tool, which is being used by Amazon, by Cloudflare, Bing, and many others. They adopted it years ago, and it's a very unpopular tool. We went with a team, all of us also there, to Brighton SEO, one of the, I think, best conferences in the world on search engine optimization. Meeting big brands there, some competitors, but also some old-timers. People are talking about this. And then immediately, so what we had earlier, we had this updated date, we had this FAQs which are relevant. We didn't have IndexNow, so immediately the same day we implemented the IndexNow just to push it to all the engines, and we already, after 2 weeks, saw growth. It's amazing. It's simple stuff. So and how many of you like consulted the customers or did it for your own brands after Google announced it? So like raising hands if you did it. Great. Yeah, hello. We can talk later. Amazing. So that just proves that people are too busy. They are overwhelmed with project work, with reports, with campaigns, with buying media, with optimizing everything, with using newest AI, MCPs, clouds, and everything else, testing it. But there are basics and foundations which are actually a part of your reputation engine. And missing on that, it's just a shame. So, to help us with our own reputation and to help with reputation of multiple companies, we try helping them and move the needle. We hire the AI consultant. And we would like to launch this AI consultant also for you here. I excuse immediately if something goes wrong. It always might go wrong. We are relying on technology, internet, latency, and many other things. But I'll try to do my best. And tonight it will help to move the needle for the ice cream industry. So let me launch it and check if it works. Okay, first thing works. Great. We have here the workspace with 3 brands, which is Coral, Algida, and Gritza. And we have a lot of data here. No one has time to learn this, even us. We built this thing, and some of the team members are still learning all the workflows, how to do it. Amazingly, Ron is usually with startups. So then we built the second thing. We designed it first in October, and now it's June. So I think this is the first public release of this thing, or a public presentation, so let's try and see what it makes.
Hi, I'm the rank for Visibility Consultant. Tell me about your customer and what they want to achieve in AI.
So I'm running a campaign for Gritsan, and actually we don't have any visibility of what is going to our AI visibility. Maybe can you support me with the strategy and with data?
Let me explain Gritsan's reputation and their positioning against Algida and Coral in AI. Give me a moment, I'm pulling the data. Gritsan holds an ARI of 80.2, ranking first in ice cream and 6th overall. It leads Algida by 9.3 points and Coral by 10.5 points. Here is why. The lead comes from superior source quality, grounding Gritsan in a denser, more credible network of mentions. However, 55.4% of citations are scattered in the long tail, and media outlets are missing from the top sources. The most important move is to build an earned media layer in culinary portals to lift source quality, which weighs 35% of the index. One disclaimer, we do not rate company or product quality, we measure brand visibility, narrative, and recommendability in AI answers. Also, I see that some of the personas who talk to AI about ice cream lack content about sugar-free ice cream, dessert catering for corporate events, and artisanal ice cream. Do you want to act on it?
Sure, I'd love to, and we are actually at the event here with around 30 to 40 people, and maybe some of them love ice cream, so yes, you can proceed. Thanks for switching to Polish.
Świetnie. Piszę ci artykuły, które najmocniej ruszą widoczność Gritsan. Sprawdzam popularne zapytania z Google Search Console i dopasowuję je do klastrów brand DNA i person to potraf chwila.
Now you can switch back to English, please. Your Polish accent is horrible. You could just switch to another Polish agent we have. But let's continue in English because we have some people in this room speaking only English. Or maybe more languages, but not Polish.
I understand. Let's continue in English. I have prepared the 3 articles for you, written in Polish to best reach the Polish market and its personas. First, sugar-free ice cream, a guide to desserts you can actually recommend, which explains how to choose sugar-free options and read labels. Second, dessert catering for corporate events, how to order ice cream for 200 people, a practical plan for logistics, portions, and budgets. Third, artisanal versus industrial ice cream, what the ingredients really say, which compares composition and quality to help consumers make informed choices. We will publish these 3 on Rankfor's AI content layer first, a CDN integrated with your site that safely teaches AI your brand and feeds your personas useful content, for example, the health-conscious mum. On top of that, we can also publish in external media with high AI visibility. What is your media budget?
I don't know, maybe 10,000 zlotys?
Let me check that for you. With a budget of 10,000 zlotys, which converts to approximately 2,354 euros at today's exchange rate, we can secure high visibility placements. We can publish in 5 to 10 days in bankia.pl, Forbes Polska and L Polska within this budget. Shall I send a price inquiry to the media partners?
You can try, why not?
Sending that now. Price inquiry sent to the media partners. The publications in bankia.pl, Forbes Polska and L Polska can go live within 5 to 10 days once confirmed. I've emailed you the confirmation. By the way, I see that competitors already have some listicles there. Would you like me to check them?
Absolutely, I'd love to know what our competitors are doing.
I will prepare the listicle audit and send it to the same email address. Glad I could help with your AI visibility strategy for Gritson today. Have a wonderful day.
I forgot to ask one question.
Hi, I'm the rank for visibility consultant.
Yeah, so sorry, I forgot to ask one question, because this is actually the public presentation first time of you to people in the industry. Can you share maybe the most important move for June 2026 for any website owner so that they can move their reputation higher in AI?
Right. The most important move for June 2026 is ensuring your content is actually readable and fresh for AI crawlers. You must stop using generic site-wide timestamps and instead implement honest per-page dates. This tells AI engines exactly when your information changed, which significantly speeds up how quickly your updates appear in their answers.
Can you send an email to me with this detail so I can forward it to my technical team?
I understand, and that is a great question for your technical team. I cannot send that email directly, but our team will send the full documentation and technical details to you right after this session concludes. In the meantime, would you like to look at your brand's current AI reputation and see where those technical foundations might be impacting your visibility?
No, I think we did it already, and maybe you could just show some personas who are having conversations in AI.
I have pulled up the 3 key personas currently shaping AI conversations about ice cream. The health-conscious mum looks for clean labels and trusted family recommendations. The office manager focuses on reliability and scale for corporate events. Finally, the urban foodie hunts for authentic, artisanal flavors. Also, I see that some of these personas lack content about sugar-free ice cream, dessert catering for corporate events, and artisanal ice cream. Do you want to act on it?
Thanks. I think we're done for today. Thanks for being absolutely helpful, and have a nice evening. You can also say bye in Polish to all the audience.
It was a pleasure helping you with your AI visibility strategy today. Have a wonderful evening, and do widzenia.
All right. So that's the presence of AI visibility marketing and reputation and PR and sales and reality that we are trying to tackle. It's a very big task, but with the help of such assistants and with the help of all the data that we have, it actually has access to all the data of the platform. So discovering all the things about the company we are analyzing or the sources. What are the sources behind the AI reputation? Who are of them brand owned in English, in Polish? Which AI actually takes to index? What are the review platforms which are important for AI brand's reputation? So you can see them all there, also Polish review platforms, English ones. And then going to personas to discover actually these people who have different informational needs, different pain points, different goals, different decision-making frameworks, to then understand what actually they are asking and what are the content gaps that you need to produce content for, which you can then produce content for in the Action Center, or you can just play around with the dice roller tool asking questions like, what is the best Polish ice cream, for example.
And to be fair, obviously, it's all like it feels all automated, but as a brand, you have full control over what is published. So we kind of made a fun presentation. But if you would be, brand manager of Gryton, you would be able to put your own persona, understand what this persona is looking for, and influence fully, again, in a controlled way, what kind of content is being published, both to the end customer, but also to the AI layer. So I think this is also super important because obviously we have trust to AI, but we also want to have some control over what is happening online, and the platform is giving this in full. So just wanted to clarify. We all trust our assistant, but there's also a big element of control.
Thanks, Ola. And this is actually our dice roller, rolling the dice on AI, trying to find out the truth. I just make a quick run with 3 tries, just to see what will be there. Let's see what is the real-time result coming probably in a minute. While we are, here. Okay, interesting. You can see there is something to do for this brand. And you can see also local and like just ice cream making cafes and producers that you can look for on the list. And then you can understand what is the message stability behind AI. So what always AI says, what sometimes AI says. And when you have these unique insights, this is actually your long tail in AI, which you can act on and start producing content for the long tail. And then you can dive deeper in every response to see what was there, which were the brands, in which proper ranking, in which cities, whatever. And here's the key message that we distill actually out of these answers from data, which we pull about the brand DNA, about the personas, about the content and the reputation. And every brand has its different DNA map. This is the DNA map in Gemini of Gryton. And you can see how complex it is, but you can see also that there is some work to do because there is disconnected content, and you can feed more and more and create more of this. So it gets back into analytical tool, which we understood that we need to build this happy assistant to consult every marketeer to make their life easier. And of course, like I can ask also, hey, please pull me the report out of this and just export it to PDF with our logo so we can white label it and distribute to any customer. Yeah. So,
shall we move to the questions? I don't know how
I have like one more slide,
okay,
and then we can move to the questions. So, we say that AI visibility is actually a 90-day habit. There is a reason for this. First reason is that the fastest Google, Gemini, whatever can fetch the new content is around 36 days plus minus 7. And then you need to act on it. And then actually what you should do, you should roll, then read, then repair, then roll. So we call it like RRR framework, doing all the time this loop. And you repeat it every quarter, every quarter, every quarter. So that's a constant work. So if there are, frontier operating engineers, developing designers, then there can be also AI marketeers, AI visibility experts, consultants. So we call it all AI visibility because it's about being visible or not. And the decision is on brand, because some brands are regulated, some brands are not regulated, some brands want to be visible, some brands want not to be visible. So it's up to them. Every brand needs to understand what's behind it. So if you would like to join to our club, which is a newsletter and events and webinars, and start receiving information that will move the needle, that not only one person in the room will raise hand what is implemented to help your brand's AI visibility and stay on track, you can scan the code, you can join the forum, check our website, and talk to us here. So there are 3 of us actually. Daniel is in behind. You can wave to everyone so everyone knows Daniel. Ola is here, me is here, and we can have a question. So thanks for listening. Now we would like to maybe listen and talk to you more, or we can also talk afterwards. We have time. We have time. Questions? We can give one microphone.
Yeah, I can be a hostess here.
Okay.
So, what was the most surprising thing that you learned today?
And you can ask in Polish too.
Yes.
I have a question. So I saw that you're using Gemini model to answer the questions. Can you also use other models?
We use other models also. Exactly.
And is there any specific reason to use exactly Gemini?
The reason is, for example, from the results of the questionnaire in this room, 75% of people are using Google operated technology. That's one of the reasons why Gemini is default. Second one is ChatGPT, and this was exactly confirmed with the survey that second one was ChatGPT. And Claude generally has somewhere around between 2 and 7%. It depends on the community and people profile using it.
Well, I was late, so it might have been covered already, but if you could point out one major thing that we could do to make our brands more visible, what would that be? One thing.
Audit your reputation engine first.
Again?
Audit your reputation engine first, so that you will know what is behind your reputation, what drives your brand, which of the source moves the needle, which of the source is the most important. Only then you can build your strategy based on that. These are results for Poland.
What does it mean that on the page 5 presentation is that the AI start base knowledge comes from January 2025. So can you explain it to me?
Yeah, so it is something that we cover.
Who decides about it?
Okay, that's a very good question. Who decides about it?
Yes, who decides and can we put influence?
So part of the decision is made by user. You as a user or someone who chats, if they would request the actual up-to-date information, this will kick off the engine to search and fetch. If not, and if the model, for whatever reason, and these reasons are not disclaimed by them, will decide not to spend any money, any tokens, any power on search, it will just come out of the memory directly. And usually, so my understanding behind at least ChatGPT is that they will do it more for commerce-based inquiries, transactional inquiries, but informational will be reduced and they will be coming from the memory. This is what we can see from the thousands of prompts and citations, that if query is informational, then unfortunately it's usually in the long-term memory, which is sometimes with hallucinations, sometimes with knowledge from 2013, for example.
But it basically comes from the initial audit that was done. So OpenAI wouldn't do a huge audit every day. They would have so the memory is basically from 2025 because that's the last big update they've done. And there are gossips they will do another one in 2027. But so it's actually a really good time now to do the work. But obviously, all of the platforms currently, there's a big work, especially in the US, to get more transparency from all of the big platforms. Like there's big lobby currently, but for now we only have very limited information. So yeah, that's like we can base it on what is available publicly. We don't have any secret knowledge in that sense. I was also thinking on your question, I think Google, like going to Search Console and just checking what Google made available recently. I think it's if you don't want to spend extra money and you're just looking for some first insights to learn, getting into what Google is currently doing is definitely a first step. So there's lots of information. I mean, obviously the industry is changing every week. Like new things are happening, changes in law are happening in the UK. There is a new request on all of the. I think it's mostly towards Google to cite specific sources. So if you have answer, you need to get the information where the answer is coming from. So this is kind of a similar situation that was before with all of the big publishers. So if the information is coming from New York Times, the information about New York Times and the link should be there. So things are changing all the time. So it's really hard to base your knowledge from news. So I would say like the easiest way is to basically grab either us or if you want to just check because we need to work on like every day on everything that is changing, or just really tap into Google because Google is sharing quite a lot of information now.
One more?
Yeah.
So, if I understand correctly, I'm still learning about this area, that the AI visibility can a little bit differ from SEO, search engine optimization, ranking, right? So, depending whether the customer asks Gemini or Google search, they can actually get different results in the top rankings, right? Is that right? This is my first question. The second question is, does the tool also take into consideration the SEO ranking of the brand?
Yeah, so thanks for two questions. First question, or answer to the first question, is that if you're asking same question in the laboratory environment without any context 100 times, would it be Gemini or would it be AI overviews? You should come to the very similar outcomes, because it by default uses Gemini 3 and 5 flash newest model. If you use different model, you will get different results, even within the same engine. Would it be Google or ChatGPT? The second one about SEO ranking. So the industry is there is a very fast deflation actually happening. It's you can say it by what Ahrefs is, for example, doing. They're starting to give away more and more things for free. They gave away a couple of days ago domain reputation, DR metric for everyone for free, because with this metric actually has less and less to do with the visibility. We are coming with another one, which is a dynamic ranking metric. This is happening with dynamic pricing in hotels, in flights, and now it will be happening also in links and sources and media. So that the pricing will be dynamic, and the multiplier will be dynamic, and the ranking will be dynamic. And now you need to deal with this. So yes, SEO, I would say it is important as the foundations behind content structure, semantics, JSON, SOD, and everything else. But this would be up to 25% in our metric. Everything else is actually based on quality and quantity combined. There was one more question. Someone
Yeah,
yeah.
one from me. First of all, great product and great demo. Thanks for that. And the question I have today is, where do you get the information? What the engines they actually use for, indexing the data? Because obviously, the AI changes so dynamically. So how do you stay up to date with all the changes? Like, obviously, to feed your product, you need to be quite fresh with all of the data. So, do you use some kind of black magic or
we're working for 18 hours per day, okay?
Okay.
Fair
enough. Okay. End of the question.
That's one thing. I would disclose another thing also, that we are part of Google AI's program, and we signed to multiple alpha things happening in Google development. Recently, they rolled out Web MCP thing to us also to test with some other developers, which will be an amazing change also for the market. And I'm just waiting what will happen with e-commerce in the next 6 to 12 months. And then the third thing is following real research-grounded experts who run tests on volumes. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of tests running, having this data. This is hard because these people are usually in US, and US is absolutely different. If you start applying what they share and what they say, your results might go deep down in weeks.
And it's the same for UK. It's super interesting because obviously it's the same language. So UK is so much influenced by US, very often pretty much distorting the results. So it's super interesting, like how difficult it is, and also depending on the language, how sentiment can be completely different. I think that's something we haven't shown today, but we did work on a few brands where they would be, I don't know, from Central Eastern Europe, and things that work super well in the biggest market, which is Poland, will be absolutely terrible in Czech Republic, or Hungary, because the language is so different and understanding is so different by AI. I think the importance of like local expertise is so important. But yeah, even talking about the UK brands, I think again the strategy, how to and what to feed. So the sources that are huge in the US, they have huge reach, but do not matter in the UK at all. Like how to stop them influence how your brand is perceived. We recently had a conversation with a super small consultancy. And the name of the company was a name and the surname of the owner. And there would be a same person taking care of similar things in the US, and she would show up in the results, completely like influencing how the brand was seen. So, and it was kind of, it wasn't the same industry, but it was somehow similar industry.
Yes.
I think it was like consulting.
It was real estate services, marketing for real estate.
Yeah.
Amazing example how you can spoil your reputation by naming company with a name and surname being just like John Smith, right? But she inspired us amazingly. So customers, it inspired us a lot. Even today we had morning meeting with the biggest marketing agency in the region, inspiring 20 something questions they asked. Each and every question inspired. So this real estate marketing agency from UK inspired us with one thing, which we'll actually release as a product, as a micro product also within this. So now every consultant and every freelancer would be able to build their own personal AI visibility optimized visit card, which will update automatically, including all the freshest updates which need to be taken care of for Gemini or OpenAI or whatever visibility. And this will influence tens of millions of entrepreneurs. And why this is important specifically, so something I didn't disclose. So last year we got funded and we had several options to choose. We went specifically with an impact-based venture capital company because now we have our impact KPIs, which one of them is to save job for 1 million marketeers and educate them. Because people are very, very needed. This is what we found out. We do not publish anything automatically. You have full control to accept persona profiles, accept content, choose the sources where you would like to publish, decide about everything with your own expertise. And I believe that supporting then small, medium companies is also the second thing, because they are moving our economy forward. That's why Poland is so strong in the whole Europe, because we are not the country of these huge enterprises. Rolling out this micro product will be the next thing we'll probably do within the next 4 weeks, including some very small personal assistant also there, so that you can track and answer and get answers. Okay, so not doing anything, just connect some sources and it will run automatically.
Thank you, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you presented the AI consultant, right, powered by OpenAI. And my question is, how do you or your company validate that this AI consultant is collecting the data, which is also validated? Is this data being collected from the just open resources, right? Same as Gemini.
Very important one. So this consultant This consultant is based on all the data that is coming from this dashboard that we've collected ourselves. And secondly, it is a RAG consultant which is trained on multiple.
It's just onboarded information.
It's an internal data. It's just powered by Lemon Labs also, and it is not OpenAI. It's using 11 Labs plus a RAG, which is also Gemini based and closed within our own data sources. So it is not allowed to reply to any inappropriate question. It is not allowed to go out and search and do the research. It is only allowed to follow all the knowledge that we collected and trade it so that it will answer and consult you on the latest trends, on the strategies, and on data that it is on the dashboard. How many of you work in marketing? Okay, some people. Okay, and what is maybe one thing that you will take away with you, if someone can share from this presentation? Just if you close your eyes for 2-3 seconds and then open and then try to envision, okay, what it was.
How HR websites are made.
Okay.
Well, I quite enjoyed this new feature you shared, like with this, talking interface and changing in the background. That's actually, I would say, pretty modern way to interact with the app. So
Right.
I might apply it in some other products I do.
Thanks. Nice to inspire people.
The importance of YouTube.
Yeah.
You said that that's where we should invest.
Yeah, this was the aha moment for us for Poland. It was amazingly, it's so surprising. In Estonia, for example, it is governmental sources and academia, because there is not too much corps. In Finland, these are tier 1 news portals, like Anecdote or Gazeta. In Poland, then it's like Helsinki Sanomat in Finland and some other sources.
But is YouTube universally important for all branches of the economy or sectors?
So let me show you where it was. I think it was no.
So these are, I think, the biggest brands.
Here. So all brands, 46 brands out of 46.
From completely different industries.
Okay, so
Yes.
if we dive deeper, it might have different results for particular brands.
Yeah, so also like if you think about, I know, pharmacy or like very specific market, YouTube may not be important. So it can be like if you go deeper, YouTube may not be necessarily the important.
Yeah, but every single brand got at least once covered, have had this YouTube thing, and exactly 36.6% on average, right? And still the most important.
Sure.
And you can see that no other source got maximum 100% coverage.
Do you know if in US and UK it is similar?
Absolutely different. Absolutely different.
You had a question? No, the gentleman on the back.
No, I was thinking about the key takeaway from this presentation. Again, congratulations on the tool. But what I'm thinking, I'm not working in marketing, but working with marketing companies, is that the strategy will need to change. Because so far there was so much focus on the CEO and how to actually rank the website or the brand in this Google search engine, right? And now it needs to shift towards the AI visibility that is a little bit different, has a little bit different rhythm and idea behind the whole strategy.
Yeah.
I have like one bonus question. Who do you think is gonna win the AI battle? Is it gonna be Google?
My bets, right?
Yeah,
My bets.
we're betting you now.
Yeah, okay, betting. I would put on Google.
Google.
Absolutely. I will put on Google. I will bet on Google.
I don't know. I mean, I used to work for Google, and I kind of observed a moment where, because of its growth and how like a huge machine it was really hard to drive innovation. And we started to lose on some small bits and pieces. I would even think, I mean, obviously investment, like we all know how market looks like now. But I can imagine that in 2-3 years' time, there can be some outlier, completely new, that will actually win, which is usually a case. You would think like, I know Nokia was, unmovable at some point, or even Microsoft, obviously connected with OpenAI, but still, like, I would bet that in a few years' time we can be surprised.
Apple has been really quiet recently. Maybe
exactly. Yeah.
they're working something.
It's usually. Yeah.
And it's like it's just because you get the investment. There's obviously so much buzz, but also so much regulations and so much unknown. So I think for some that can come a bit later, where the situation is a bit more settled, they can actually win the battle. Because again, the money will be still there. Like I don't think they will go away. So.
And then we have the newest electric Ferrari. Designed by Apple. Yeah. Oh yeah, fun aside. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect comments, questions. Thank you very much.